Imagine you're sitting across from someone on a first date. He's already spent the entire time bragging about his car. He's being rude to the waitress. So at this point, you're probably already thinking, yeah, there probably isn't going to be a second date. And then his food arrives. And somehow, the way this man eats a turkey sandwich becomes the most memorable part of the entire date. All right, so while I'm playing Age of Mythology, I'm going through some of the funniest, most awkward, and completely ridiculous dating stories people have shared online. And after each one, I'll give you my opinion, and I'll try not to be rude. This next story is short, because apparently there is such a thing as too much mayonnaise. Here it goes. So this woman goes on a date with a guy who, according to her, is obnoxious pretty much immediately. Not 20 minutes into the date. Not after he gets comfortable. Right from the beginning. And one of the things he apparently cannot stop talking about is his car. He's just bragging about it nonstop. Now, she doesn't say what kind of car it was or what exactly he was saying about it. All we know is that this man really wanted his date to know that he owned a car he was very proud of. Which, okay, maybe he's nervous. Maybe that's his thing. You could still recover from that. But then she notices the way he's treating the waitress, and apparently he's rude to her. That's already a much bigger problem, because you can learn quite a lot about somebody by watching how they treat a person who's just trying to do their job. So before the food has even arrived, we've got non-stop car bragging and unnecessary attitude toward the waitress. The date is not exactly going well. Then he orders his food, a turkey club. Pretty normal choice. Except this is where things start getting weird. Because he doesn't just order a turkey club with mayonnaise. He orders it with what the woman describes as extra mayo. Not extra. Extra. And apparently, even that isn't enough. Because he also gets an entire cup of mayonnaise on the side. Now, at this stage, I'm assuming she probably thought, okay, he really likes mayo. Fair enough, everybody has their thing. But then he starts eating. And instead of just eating the sandwich normally, he's taking this already heavily mayo-covered turkey club and dipping it into the cup of mayonnaise. Every bite. Sandwich, mayo, sandwich, mayo. At this point, the woman stops referring to it as a turkey club. She calls it the Mayo Club, which honestly feels more accurate. And apparently, things are getting messy, really messy. She describes it as basically raining mayo. It's getting all over his hands. It's around the corners of his mouth. And she's just sitting there, watching this happen. She says she was shocked, she was embarrassed, and apparently she wasn't the only one noticing it. Because even the waitress looked shocked. Which is rough, because restaurant staff see people eat every single day. They've seen everything. So if you manage to make the waitress stop and think, what is happening over there? You have achieved something. And that's basically the story. The woman doesn't say whether they finished the meal. She doesn't say if he asked for another date. She doesn't tell us what happened afterward. She just leaves us with this image of an obnoxious guy bragging about his car, being rude to the waitress, and then absolutely covering himself in mayonnaise while eating what can only be described as a mayo sandwich with some turkey somewhere inside it. Her final review of the date? It was awful. Okay, here's what I think. I think the mayonnaise is almost distracting us from the bigger problem here. Because if the guy had been really nice, treated the waitress well, had a good conversation, and then just happened to consume an amount of mayonnaise that concerned everyone in the building. That's weird, but it's also kind of funny. You might even get a story out of it. The problem is that apparently he had already made himself unlikable before the sandwich even showed up. He's bragging non-stop. He's rude to the waitress. And then the Mayo Club arrives like the final boss in Black Myth Wukong. That's what makes this so much funnier. Every stage of the date is somehow adding another reason for her to never see this man again. And I really want to know what was going through her head when the cup of mayo arrived. Because extra mayo on a sandwich? Fine. I don't personally need it, but fine. A cup of mayonnaise specifically for dipping the sandwich? We're entering different territory. And then you've got mayo on the hands, mayo around the mouth. The waitress is apparently watching. Your date is watching. At some point, you have to become aware of the situation. Also, imagine being the waitress. This guy has apparently already been rude to you, so you're probably not exactly his biggest fan. Then you look over 5 minutes later and he's just covered in mayonnaise. I don't know. Maybe that's karma working incredibly fast, and the car bragging makes it even better, because I'm picturing someone spending the whole date trying desperately to appear impressive, only for the lasting impression to be the mayonnaise guy. Whatever car he owned, forgotten, whatever he was bragging about, gone. The sandwich won, and obviously we're only hearing her version of the date. Maybe somewhere on Reddit there's a man telling a completely different story. I went on a date with this woman and she kept judging how much mayonnaise I use. Maybe. But when even the waitress is apparently shocked, I'm leaning toward this being an unusual amount of mayo. Now, the guy in the next video doesn't even make it far enough into the date to order food, because the moment he sees his date, he picks her up, spins her around, and pats her on the head. Yeah, that one goes about as well as you'd expect.